pledge.
All right, we'll start at 6:59. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody. All right, Chair to select order of business. I don't have any changes to the order of business. Move on to the chair's report. I just have one thing to report. I met with the Board of Finance. They asked me to come to report out on the budget expenditures for the previous fiscal year that was ended in June. So John gave me the final numbers, which they just ran, and he's happy to report that we about a little over $400 surplus that we put back to the town for that fiscal year. So not a lot, but they were happy to have any questions. We left it at that. So good news that we can add budget. Questions on that?
You said 400.
Just over $400.
I'm 8 million.
Out of $8 million.
It's like a bullseye shot,
It is.
I guess.
All right, no other questions. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. The first item is just an update on the residency matter that was initiated the last regular meeting. The gentleman's building a house here in town, and he wanted to find out how he could do that and have his daughter go to school. And so we had an agreement that you all saw. I just want to let you know that he signed the agreement. The agreement comports with the board's policy on tuition. And so at the end of the first semester, if he's not moved in, if he's not a resident at that point, he will back pay us tuition for the first semester. And he will then, his intention is to have his daughter go to school second semester, and he'll pay tuition in advance quarterly for that. So that's all taken care of. Thanks for your help on that. He was very appreciative. Second matter is, any questions on that? Second matter is opening the schools. Teachers and staff all worked very hard and enthusiastically to make that first day really special for kids. Of course, there were usual cheers and a few tears, but we got everything underway. Things are going really fine. There were fire drills at both Bakerville and New Hartford. We had a lockdown drill here at Antonelli, and open houses last week were very well attended. So everything is going well. The only issue we've had is the air conditioning in this room, right? This big unit is down, so we're getting that repaired. Service on it estimate is $10,000, so we're trying to get an insurance claim on that. So we'll take care of that. But other than that, everything is working great. And then third item, contract negotiations. This is the year we negotiate with the teachers for their contract. That happens every 3 years typically. The negotiating team for the Board of Education is Tony Mary and Penny here, and also Charlie Neal will be joining us from the Board of Finance. He's an observer, so he's like a liaison. He can report to the Board of Finance about issues, costs, things like that. And also our attorney and me. The teachers team is composed of 3 lead teachers, and then the union representative typically is working with them. Our first meeting is going to be in 2 weeks. And then we have 2 meetings scheduled after that. We hope that by the end of October, we're pretty close to an agreement with them. We don't see any major issues at this point. So I just want to let you know, make sure that you knew that was happening. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
John, the AC unit, that's just this.
It's this room and the gym.
No, and-
Yeah.
That was done many years ago.
Seven?
Seven?
Was it that long ago?
Wasn't it part of the major upgrades we did? The
Yeah,
roof and all that stuff?
that was
So
that long ago? Wow.
can I ask what's costing the $10,000? I mean,
Yeah, that's a great
They know
question.
what's wrong with it already, or they?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, the whole control system on it went down. And the fellow who looked at it figured it might have been a lightning strike, a power surge, but it took out everything. It got the monitor on the unit, the control panel on the unit, and a number of sensors. And I couldn't believe that it was that much money, but it's a special unit and custom. The company makes custom units, and that's what they charge for parts.
Hmm.
So I think right now our insurance company's looking at it. I'm hopeful.
Thank you.
Do we have somebody else looking at the unit? Or just the one company?
Pardon me?
The unit on the roof here, do we have another company looking at it to get a second opinion of it?
I have not. No, we could do that.
Yeah, $10,000, right? We have to bid that out?
And we have
Do
a
that.
contract with an HVAC company to service the school.
I don't know that we're locked into any kind of a service contract. We have one vendor I understand we've used a lot. This is a different company. I think they're out of Bristol.
Is it Chapter Beacon, the one that I gave you?
Uh,
You should definitely call them for a quote. They're really great.
I
I
don't-
think he talked to you.
I talked with him about fuel oil. Is that the
Oh,
person?
yeah, he did, but they do HVAC too. Yeah, you should definitely, yeah, they're great. They're great people to talk to.
I could check with a couple more.
Tim, do you have somebody that you would recommend?
I'd have to know what the manufacturer of the unit was.
Do we know who the
You know who it is?
manufacturer is?
Yeah, we do. It's one I'd never heard of before.
Aon?
Yeah.
I've got some service providers, yeah. I'll get them to you. Aon.
So you'll send them to John?
Yeah, when you say custom units, Aon is
Okay.
number one around here. But, I mean, if the insurance company's covering it, so be it. But a 7-year, you're saying it's a 7-year-old unit? There's got to be a warranty on it.
Yeah, I don't know what the warranty would be on the controls, but yeah.
Yeah, we should go back to the original paperwork that typically you're going to get, on a custom unit that's pre-assembled, there's normally a 10 to 20 year on those. So
Where would that paperwork be, do you know?
whoever bought it initially,
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure
got to
we
be in a
have.
file
Would it be
somewhere.
in this office or would it be in the superintendent's office?
I'm new here.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't have it, John?
I don't know where that stuff gets filed away, but
Well, I'll see what records I can find, and
Yeah.
you mind if I call you? And
no, not at all.
yeah, I'll keep you posted on the insurance, what they're doing.
Yeah, if
and,
the insurance is covering it, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, it's only 7 years old. Those
Yeah.
are prepackaged units that
Yeah.
carry
Right.
typically an extended warranty.
Janet, do you know where that paperwork might be?
It should be in the central office somewhere.
Okay.
It should be attached to the first.
Okay. Thanks, Penny.
Anything else? Superintendent's report? All right, moving on to consent agenda.
I'd like to pull the financial report.
Anybody have any questions on the minutes? All right.
You want me to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented? I can do both sets of minutes if no one has an objection. I'll make a motion that we accept the approval of minutes for August 16th, 2022, and August 25th, 2022, as presented. Once I already said that.
Second.
Any discussion? Favor? Opposed?
Tony seconded it.
Tony.
Tony.
Everyone.
That was
yes.
unanimous. He abstained. Oh, do you want me to do it separately then?
All right, before we get into the expenditure, John, did you want to talk about personnel activity?
Yeah, I know there was a conversation at a previous meeting about a plan to cover a psychologist position that we couldn't fill, but we got very fortunate and we were able to fill that position. So we're hiring Mr. Christian Plard. He holds a 6-year certificate and a master's degree in school psychology with a clinical child counseling specialization. He's had 7 years' experience. He's worked in 2 other school districts, Bristol and Cromwell. And his wife works for us already as a school psychologist. Great find.
It's great news. I know Brian spent all summer trying to find somebody.
Yeah, who's-
How did we happen to find him?
Word of mouth?
Is there a
Sounds like-
backstory?
Well, we reached out to him over the summer. And at the time, he, was on the fence. When we had hired a tentative social worker who at the last minute backed out, position opened again, and reached out one more time, and he thought about it, in order to be interested, and we set up an interview, and the rest is history.
Okay, thank you. So we're not going to be using the person from Region 7? Was that a school psychologist that we were using with them?
That was the social worker.
Oh, social worker. Sorry. Are we still using CJR?
But the social worker will bring back to, share.
So that just didn't happen before Northwestern or New Hartford, the person decided.
So that Region 7 person's not coming then?
There is no,
Okay,
go on, get back out.
all right, thank you.
So John, that was the last open staff issue we had, correct?
And what, as far as salary, what, was that in line with what we were looking to offer? Or?
Yeah, exactly, almost.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to find extra money for this person?
No.
Or- Okay.
Any other questions? We don't need a motion. All right.
All right, so the reason I pulled the consent agenda is because when I was signing checks last week, there was one in there for $3,200 for things off for repairs made. I don't remember exactly what the repairs were, but for work done for him that was done in the last fiscal year. So we really didn't have $400 extra. We're really in the hole for. we're
28.
3,200 minus 400, 2,800 in the hole.
Repair for what?
Different things that golf equipment had repaired for the school.
Oh,
There was bills from December of '21 and from the spring of '22 that never got paid in the fiscal year that ended June 30th this year.
Well, that's not the payment decided for this school year.
The money is coming out of this year's budget. It should have come out of last year's budget.
But my point is, paid within this fiscal year, so it applies to this fiscal year.
But they're last year's bills.
No, I understand. That's- I'm sure there's other instances.
Maybe.
So
There shouldn't.
are we getting billed late or are we just paying late?
I don't, from what I was told, he finally called the other day to say, where's my, I haven't been paid for these bills. And there was like 5 of them. I don't know why he waited so long, but he did.
It's legitimate, right?
Yeah.
There goes the $400.
But my point is, it'll come out of this year.
Right.
It'll come out of this year's, and there's only, in that line item that it came out of, there's only $4,000 It was under repairs, non-INSTR instrument equipment on page 4. The 7th line up from the bottom. So now there's only a balance of $790 left in that account. Where there used to be 4,000.
I assume.
I guess, I hope. I don't remember. I should have taken a copy of the invoices.
How come they weren't paid as we were getting them? Is there, we know why?
I don't know.
Are there any other skeletons we should be aware of? That's a
Not
nice,
that- not
a
that I'm aware
small
of,
one,
because-
luckily.
Not that I'm aware of. Only because it was golf equipment, I looked to see what we were doing with him because of previous discussion when he was the chairperson. What, Janet?
I just want to say that he never submitted the books. He said he did, but
Oh,
he never received them.
okay.
I don't know what happened to him. The scales are very prompt. We never had any overage charges or late payments. They were never submitted. So that's why she got a phone call. She said, "We never got these bills." So she paid it right away. I don't know where it is.
Thank you.
So repairs on page 4.
So how, I guess the question then would become, who verified that the work was completed?
They were signed off by whoever submitted the invoices originally, I guess, or the purchase orders.
So somebody signed an invoice.
Fortunately, it's Tim Goff and we can trust that.
Yeah,
The
I'm not
work
having
was
the-
done, you know?
Right.
So I guess what's the issue? We want to find
No,
out,
no, it's, I just wanted you to be aware that
the money will be coming out
the
of this
money will
year's
come out of
budget.
this year's budget, and now that account is, doesn't have the 4,000 that was in the beginning, that's all.
Well, it's too good to be true.
As sort of a feel-good, the auditors are in our office right now, going through all the books. So if there's anything improper, charged the wrong year or anything like that, I'm sure they'll turn it up.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, thank you. All right, moving on to communication to the board. I have, and you all received these communications. I have 4 in total, but 2 from Tim Russell, 1 from a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, 1 from today, 1 from Brian Kulig for today, and 1 from Kristen Fox for today. So I will submit those, should be posted in the minutes. Did anyone else receive other correspondence besides those?
I didn't see a couple of those that you just mentioned.
Yours today?
2 of them were today.
I wonder if they sent them to your,
You might have sent it to the school email.
Yeah, I've got all of them on here. I didn't get it. I don't see
I
them
didn't
on
see
here.
them.
Did you send it to me?
no, you're not on
No.
there.
No, so I'm not on it. They keep missing my,
I'll send it to you.
guys are trying to make me go crazy.
I didn't actually look at what he sent. I just saw. Yep, both of them, I'll send it to you.
Well, there's the John, you have that sent to John.
Oh, those 2?
Yeah.
That was right. No, I sent it to you.
I got them.
Poor John. All right, next is public comment. Anyone like to speak today?
Before you do that, can I just update the rest of, or update the board quickly on the executive search that we're doing for the superintendent?
Well, we have that new business.
Oh, all right, sorry. Okay, fine.
Anybody like public comment? Okay. Closing public comment, we'll move to new business. So the first item we have is school safety and security. Got a few folks, those emails I just mentioned, talking about school security. So I just wanted John to give a bit of an update, how the school opened, what our security plan is, what we have. Some of us haven't been on the board a long time, so we probably don't know the history yet, probably don't know all of it. So I wanted John to just kind of talk through the security plan, what we have in place, and we can look at other discussions later this before time. So John, you want to do that?
Yeah, I will. Pardon me if I go over some things that you've already heard, but I want to make sure that everybody knows. In our policy series, we have a section, it's 3516 on safety. And I don't know how many pages it is, but it's a lot of material. And it basically breaks down into 3 parts: safe, secure, school facilities, equipment, and grounds is one part. Hazardous materials is another part. And sex offenders is another part. So there is in here a lot of instructions about who does what, when certain situations occur, who contacts who, and that sort of thing. And then in addition to that, we have a school security and safety plan. And the school security and safety plan is something that, according to policy, was put in place years ago, a couple of decades ago, maybe longer than that, I don't know. But it's a plan, a comprehensive plan that is updated every year, and we have a meeting in 2 weeks with the committee to update it for this year. So that meeting is always in September or October. And basically, the committee goes through the plan, and they ask what needs to be revised. Anything need to be taken out, anything need to be changed or improved. And if I can find it here, I'm going to tell you who's on the plan. Who's on the committee. So the School Safety Committee, do you all know this or?
No.
Okay, the School Safety Planning Committee is made up of the superintendent, the Board of Education chair, the Director of Student Services, the principals, the first selectman, the new Hartford resident state trooper, the police officers, the fire marshal, the chief deputy fire marshal, the school medical advisor, the head nurse, school psychologist, district administrative assistants, one in each school, the head custodian, the bus company representative, New Hartford Fire Department representative, EMS representative, and the emergency management director. So all those people will meet in 2 weeks and go through this plan again and make any revisions that they feel need to be made. I just wanted you to know that that's an instrument that's in place. It's a very nice plan. It is really complete. Pretty flow charts, everything. It tells teachers what they are to do when a certain incident happens. If there's a fire drill, for example, one of their functions is to take roll. It tells everybody in the school what they are supposed to do for any given incident, who contacts who, what their responsibilities are, what reports need to be made. Very complete, very nice. And this follows, work that's been done at the national level, national models and so on. So that is in place, phone numbers, everything. In addition to that, I just want to let you know that I was present for the lockdown drill that occurred here. I was very impressed. I have been in probably hundreds of schools, and for a few years I've worked with facilities analysis, and a large part of that for architects these days is safety and security. And I was very impressed. I don't know if I've seen better systems in place than I have seen here. It includes not only the physical elements, in addition to the physical equipment in place, classroom numbers on the exterior of every classroom so that fire or emergency personnel approaching can see from the outside where the classroom is or where the issue is. It's been reported to them, those kinds of things. In addition to that, the procedures that staff go through and the training that staff experiences on an ongoing basis, year after year after year, is outstanding. And you probably know, but there is a drill every month, and the principals can mix it up. You know, it can be a lockdown, it can be a fire drill, it can be, in place, that sort of thing. So that's what I have to report to you. We can always make improvements. Everybody seems to be aware of that. Everybody seems to be moving forward with that in mind. It's obviously been a high priority here for years. And once again, what's in place is truly impressive.
I know this is a big topic in general, but how do we all feel about it?
Well, can I just make a couple comments? So I reached out to Judy Palmer up in Regional 7, having gone up there for the orientation last week. I didn't realize they had an SRO up there, so I was surprised to see it, and that was nice to see. So I reached out to her yesterday and got a little bit of information from her. She's very happy with the situation up there with the SRO. So I just asked a couple of questions. She was, very nice to share. So I asked her, how they came about finding this person, what his background was a little bit, and how much the cost was, obviously. So I was kind of surprised. So I guess there's a website, POST, Police Officer Standards and Training website. They found this gentleman on there. He's a retired Torrington Police Department lieutenant who's up there. He's been there for 8 years. He makes about $48,000 a year, which I thought was very reasonable for someone who's going to sit there and protect their kids. So I was happy I was expecting a $75,000 to $80,000 bill times 3 in this town is $250,000. This is half that. So just as a matter of course, just a matter of information, we're not looking at a budget buster if we were to, consider putting 3 officers in our schools respectively. So just wanted to put that information out there for consideration that the bill was a lot less than I thought. There's a lot of guys out there, retired, who want this job. My brother's one down in Virginia. He loves it. He's retired, Leo. A lot of guys wanting to fill that position, I think, out there right now. So just for thought process, if we want to think about having that in our budget, if we want to ask John to throw that line in our budget this year, so when we start our negotiations in January, it's in there. We see where it takes up space and how it can fit, and we want to put that cost in front of the town. So I think it's worthwhile to ask John to put it into our budget for 3 officers and see where it lands us on our budget.
For $48,000, does he also get benefits?
He's retired. I'm not sure what his benefit package is, but I know, I can only speak for my brother, he already has his benefits. He's retired Leo. He has a pension, comes with health insurance for life. Well, he was a federal employee, but I'm not sure what
What's a Leo?
law enforcement officer.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure what his benefit package is
Right.
up the hill. I didn't. Judy had her hands full with some other things, so I didn't want to press it too hard. But we can obviously we can find that out. And there's probably a different situation depending on where the person would be coming from. Like a federal position, like since my brother comes with a full Benny package, maybe the Torrington or a local police officer doesn't have that benefit package following him. I'm not positive, but it's worth exploring.
Does your brother make a lot more than the gentleman up at?
No, it's about the same. It's about the same level of pay.
I also found out after we received these letters that, and I didn't realize that both Harrington and Burlington elementary schools have
Yeah.
SROs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other schools that Tim, I know, put in his letter that stated a lot of schools in Connecticut are taking that position to start doing this. So I'm of the same mindset as Tom. I think that one of the things I was going to ask John was, did Sandy Hook, and I don't want to just cite Sandy Hook, but did Sandy Hook also have a large manual with a lot of people on a committee with processes and procedures, like the book that you just showed and talked about?
I'm sorry, I missed part of what you
So I'm
said.
asking, did Sandy Hook,
Yes, Sandy
the
Hook.
school system, also have the large manual of processes and procedures in place for security measures?
Do they now?
No, did
Did
they?
they?
I mean, I would find it hard to believe that they didn't have anything in place, so my concern is that that's great that we have a huge manual. We have a huge committee of people that are on it, which sounds like it's representing a lot
Yeah.
of people, but to me, I think like.
Well, I think they did, because I think it's in response to a state law that predates Sandy
Yeah.
Hook. But who knows how robust it was, you know?
Right.
However, I will say that I think that most situations of mass shootings that I'm aware of, they did have security measures in place. You know, well, we don't need to get into that.
I think isn't there statistics that cite, and I don't have them in front of me, that state that they're less likely to come in and shoot when there's an armed guard on premise. So I think that's kind of where, I think based on reading Tim's letters, that's kind of where he's coming from as a police officer. He has that data. You could certainly ask him for that. But I would definitely like to put that on the agenda, that it be in the budget for next year's line item, that we, and I don't know if we have to make a motion or what we do, but
Last year, we were pinching for a few $1,000s here and there when we were going over our budget. So I'm just curious how now all of a sudden 80 grand is no big deal, 120 grand for 3 officers at $40,000 a piece is,
I would rather spend
Okay.
$120,000 plus to protect our children than to have some of our children expire, if you want to say that.
Well-
Because we didn't do anything. We had the chance and we said no.
Just another consideration, you know, we invested in the panic button system, which is great. And with Brian, and I don't know where that stands now, with Brian updating doors. I know he was doing a few a year or a handful a year. I'm sure there's other things we could do that would improve security, and I just don't want to ignore those, because not that they've been ignored, but I think even though we have a great plan in place, there's probably other things we could do to improve security. Not that I'm saying we shouldn't do the security officer, I'm just saying it might be worth looking at the whole picture rather than trying to fill that gap on that.
if we're okay with spending more money for security, then can we be okay with spending more money for something like pre-K4 for everybody? Can we be okay with spending more money for more resources here in the school for our kids for educational purposes? Can we spend more resources for teachers' contract negotiations because they deserve to get paid more? So if we're going to spend more money for security, then I think we need to be okay with spending more money for a lot of other things too.
I don't know if we can compare children's lives getting shot.
I mean, that's
Dying
fair to use
to-
that trump
Oh,
card.
everyone talk,
I'm just
please,
saying-
no interrupting.
I'm just saying, I really think like it's a non-negotiable in my mind. And I don't have a kid still in the system. My kid's already up at the middle school, but I think it's literally a non-negotiable. And if we're not having those conversations about bringing people here to save our children, there's not going to be teachers to be giving raises to. There's not going to be all the stuff that we're talking about. In an ideal world, we'd like to have all the money in the world to do those things you're talking about, Travis. But unfortunately, to me, there's no non-negotiable when it comes to our children. So if we're not putting forth the money in our budget to secure our children, right, then, and it happens, something happens, God forbid, right? How are we all going to feel about that?
I completely agree with you.
Until it's your
100%.
kid or my kid.
No,
or your
no,
kid
like,
or
I think what you're saying is 100% fair, and a lot of people who are concerned about security, like, it's a fair thing to be worried about. I'm just saying on the other side of that, a non-negotiable is trying to give our children the best education we can. So I still have 2 children in this school, and I can see a lot of need for, at least for one of my children, that has a lot of trouble with, kind of catching up with reading and math. Like, we can put some money towards tutors and extra help here in school for them for those sort of things. So I'm not saying you're wrong in asking for those security measures. I'm just saying if we're going to open up checkbook for this, we should open up a checkbook for other things as well.
I just want to make sure your children are safe.
And I
That's
think,
really all my concern.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think that should be taken away from any situation. I hear where you're coming from with the safety thing.
but I mean, to your point, if it goes into the budget
Mhm.
and it's there for us to discuss at the time of budgeting, you have your concerns about how the budget lays out.
Right.
That's why we have 9 people saying, what are we going to cut? What are we not going to cut? What we're going to keep in.
Right.
We've had a fairly easy budget season the last 3 or 4 years. But prior to that, I was in the audience and I was on the board for a couple of years where we spent nights and hours going through line by line, going crazy. So if that's what it comes down to this year, because we have some needs balancing other needs, and that's so be it. But I think they need to be presented to us as a group, and we decide what our priorities are at the time of budget, because that's where it's going to all hash out.
So just to put it in perspective, 150K is about 2% of our budget.
So can we make a motion to add it to the budget and then have the
I don't
discussion?
think you need a motion.
Yeah, I mean, can we add it to the budget? John?
Can we add it to the budget, a line item for an SRO?
You're talking about the budget for next year,
Yes.
what you're planning?
Yeah.
Put whatever you want in there.
For our negotiations, which start in January, our internal discussions on the budget will start in January, if that's on there for discussion.
So
We can add other things to the budget too, as well for next year?
we want to suggest that.
Oh, okay.
But don't forget, certain items have to go on the capital budget. They don't go in the
I
regular
just,
budget.
I didn't know we can just say, hey, let's spend 150K next year for whatever the thing may be. Because, hey, I've got a few other things I'd like to spend 150K on for our kids too.
What is it,
We have to
5,000?
get it past the Board of Finance.
Okay.
If it's more than 5,000, doesn't it have to go on capital?
Only for improvements.
That's what it is, yeah.
I mean, I think the way that, Tom just explained it, like, that makes sense. Put it on there so we can discuss it, and if there's other things that we need to put on there and choose between one and the other, like, that's what this is about, right, Tom? That's what you're
That's what
kind
I'm
of
saying.
getting to? I feel like that's okay that way, then it's got to be okay for the other things as well then.
My suggestion, because this is complicated, and I'm not an expert in security, is that we form a subcommittee to spend time looking into it, pulling in experts. We could, I was on the subcommittee with the school closing and pulled in town residents, resident state trooper, whoever. We might want to consider to look into this more, because I don't know what, maybe the resident state trooper has a handful of things he thinks are potential issues that we just don't know about.
Isn't that stuff that would come up in your meeting in a couple weeks, John?
It's part of it, yeah.
So would we need a subcommittee, because don't we already have a subcommittee for safety?
Well, that's a pretty big, I think that's more around policy.
Okay.
That's a big group of people. But, I just think when it's a big topic like this, it's worth having a subcommittee so that you can pull in, experts in the field.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a consultant that we can hire if the subcommittee feels it's necessary to do the validation. That would be reasonable. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think it'd be great, and also be great to talk to about 15 other towns that are doing it across the state of Connecticut, and the ones that are looking at doing it. So I think it would be great to have a subcommittee, and I'd love to volunteer to be on it.
Because I like the idea of adding it to the budget, but when we get the budget season, okay, I feel like there's, it's filling a gap.
We need that
Are we doing
from-
the right thing by doing a security officer for some other thing?
So we already have Regional 7, who's our sister district, right? They made the decision. Maybe we should get Judy down here if she wants to give us 15 minutes of her time to discuss their thought process. We can get some guidance about how they came to their decision. Maybe that's a good way to start before we start the subcommittee. Maybe that comes after that, but maybe a quick discussion with Judy if she's willing to come down and talk to our next meeting. That might be a decent idea. Right, I mean, right, just, or even an email to us, or whatever convenient for her to, if she wants to come down and talk to us, that'd be great. About how they came to that decision and how they got there, if they had a subcommittee or if they had, what drove them to that, not drove them, but what helped them facilitate their position 8 years ago where they hired this gentleman.
I think if we had one school, it would be a much easier decision. But it's just- So what, you guys okay? Is everyone okay with the subcommittee, forming a subcommittee at this point? Or do you want to talk to Judy first?
My personal opinion is that we have Judy come down and talk to us first. And I mean, we do have time before the budget season starts. If she's willing to come down to the next meeting or two to find out what they did, and then we can respond from that meeting forward.
Maybe we should also ask our local trooper, state trooper, to come in to the next meeting when Judy comes and give us his ideas of what else he could do to help bolster up our system.
Wouldn't getting involved in the meeting that's in 2 weeks about security be a better kind of placement of our time?
I'm not
And
sure that'd be appropriate for that particular meeting.
you said that there'd be some representatives from police department there that we'd be able to ask some of these questions about as well, right?
Well, it's true. I don't know that it's an open forum.
Okay.
I think that's more of an all-encompassing.
The whole safety plan through the policies and how it's just written out word by word.
Safety and every aspect.
Should we look at asking John to, I don't know if you know if there's any state grants that are out there.
I'm sorry, what?
State grants of any sort that are out there for school security that we haven't applied for that may,
Yeah, there have been, but I'm not sure what the status of that is right now.
can you look into that
Sure,
between now and our next meeting?
sure.
Right, so we want to hold off on a subcommittee until we want to invite Judy and maybe the president state trooper to talk to us about at our next meeting.
Yeah, and I want to find out what we actually do have, like, for example, the windows, like at that next meeting, right? Can we find out, like, we have windows that are not going to get shattered by someone smashing them? We have XYZ in each of the schools, like, just maybe a list for us to have printed that we can look at at the same
Wow.
meeting? Is that possible?
I'm happy to do it, but I'm not sure what it would be a list of. I mean,
Very unlikely.
we could check on the windows.
They're not.
I'm pretty sure they're not, but anyway, but I guess my point is, so the policies are great. I get nervous when you start talking about tons of policies and a massive manual over there, because that usually, that's too much stuff, then we don't actually take action. So I'm nervous about that, which is why I want to push for this. So if we can get her to come here and get it as state trooper here, and then also put it into the budget, I think that'd be a great start, and then we can decide on a subcommittee. And Carl, you're going to be at that meeting with him in 2 weeks, right? Right, so you can find out.
So
I just, if we're gonna put something in for the security, I just want to be clear, I really want to push for putting something in there for helping our children catch up from the 2 years of distance learning. Because I know I can see personally and with my children that there's some need for something in our school systems from an educational standpoint of what our children need to kind of get back on track. I think a lot of kids missed out on some kind of key components all over the place in our school systems, and it'd be nice to put in as much work as we're going to put in for the security also in the education.
well, there's time in the budget, as far as the budget season. It'll be late winter, early spring before we start working up next year.
Late
So,
winter.
I mean, we have some time there to see what comes of this, I guess.
Mm.
Right.
And what do we currently have that is helping to bridge the gap with the fact that the state shut the schools down and caused this problem in the first place? So what is currently going on right now in the school systems, right, to help these kids who he's saying are behind, and I know they're behind? What do we currently have for resources that we're currently doing? Do we have extra tutors? Do we have, right, so that's what I'm saying. So what do we have now that we're doing? I know we've talked about it.
Don't we still have that early morning
Correct.
help?
And after school, don't we have? So those are two things that we put in place, plus the social worker was the idea that we were also going to help the students emotionally. Is there anything else that we have in place that we're helping the kids recover from being at home for these 2 years? Is there?
You have interventionists at each building for both feeding and math, so that's been an ongoing resource. Certainly maximize them. In addition, before school tutoring academy at this year, so we have our social worker, we have hired psychologists, and all those are also components of the COVID pandemic that impacted.
So we're doing something about it, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's what I thought. That's what I just wanted to make sure, because I thought we were, and I wanted to know what we're missing that we're not doing that needs to be put into the budget in additional capacity that Travis is talking about.
Would you feel like you'd be helped with some more money to educate our children?
I
Okay.
think that's a question that we all, it's a silly question, but
All right,
I get where you're going with it.
So next meeting, we'll ask Judy Palmer and the President Station for to meet with us, have a conversation. I'll probably have that executive session since we might be talking about some specific security issues that we want to talk to the public. Is everyone okay with that? At that point, we'll decide if we want a subcommittee or how we want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, again, I'm just thinking of other opportunities or other options, right?
Well, that's why I really wanted the subcommittee first.
Yeah, no, I know, and I'm just thinking, again, I have some clients like Stratford. I believe Stratford's SRO is through the town. It's not through the board.
Nationally, in almost all the municipal areas, that's the case.
Right. So I'm just thinking, do we also raise the topic to Dan to start talking that angle as well? Right? I mean, he currently, the state resident trooper doesn't work for the Board of Ed. He works through the town, right? And I know in Stratford, it's a police officer, right? Active police officer provided by the town. So, what funds, again, we got all these extra COVID funds. I don't know what's left, and they will run out. But, is there, do we get a better bang for our buck through the town than we would if we hired directly? Don't know.
In the town, but maybe they would have some sort of police officer resource that they can manage for certain times of the day.
John, have you worked in bigger districts where it is just like what Tim's saying, where it's, a actual police officer, and is that just paid through from the town, not from the school?
Yeah, I worked for 5 years with a Tucson Police Department detective, and he was assigned to our school. And all of the schools, there were 16 schools in the district, they all had SROs assigned from the police department. But you understand the police department sees an advantage in this too, because they have an officer in the area, in the neighborhood. And frequently they are called away. Sometimes the SRO has a number of schools that they're covering. They might have an office in one school, but they get around to the others as well. And then they have a DARE program that they teach. So there's a value in it to the police department. They can
Right.
see funding it. And that's pretty common, I think.
Would
across
that
the
be
country.
anything you guys would be interested in, like sharing an officer amongst the three, or do you think each school needs
I think
their own?
each school needs it, because what happens when you have a part-time person and he's not here on Thursday and a shooter comes in and comes to the door and shoots your kids on Thursday because we didn't have enough wherewithal to say, let's hire 3 people, let's invest in our children. I fully agree we should be investing in every dollar we can for our children's education. But first and foremost, we have to make sure that they're safe so that they can learn. And so I think a full-time person in each school is
That's where you sit too, Tom.
pretty.
Full-time in each school.
That's my position. But again, I just want to, if it's in the budgets, we can discuss it. That's the first step.
I think let's just get it in the budget and then we can go at least you've heard us
But-
and we're doing something. So that's a start.
Thank you. All right, next, we have any other comments on that?
Well, thank you.
Feedback? Authorized signature change for, John, what do you need from us on this?
I just need a motion and a vote to approve my signing the form. and I just have to sign it because I gotta have the superintendent's signature and the other guy left.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Anybody have a motion for approval of John's signature on this? Any discussion?
Child
Child
nutrition
nutrition.
form.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Yeah, I can, I can.
All right, now, Patty, your update.
I don't want to, All right, most of you have sent back your non-disclosure form. We're still missing one person, so please send it in. Application deadline is coming up in 2 days, so after that, we'll be hearing from Dave from CBS, and he'll have applications for us to review. And then we can select from that list the ones that we want to interview.
This next week.
22nd is in 2 days. Yes, the other thing starts next Wednesday, is that the 26th? What's today, the
No,
19th?
26th
Be
is
the
Monday.
28th. It'll be the 28th.
28th.
Friday is 22nd.
So you have a meeting with them?
No, it just says selection of candidates for interview.
And then interviews in early October.
Yes, October 3rd, the first round. So I don't know if we have another, like Zoom meeting like we did the last time with Dave, or, I mean, he will come here if we want him to. I would hope he'd come here maybe with all the, I'm not sure exactly how. Maybe he sends us all the forms of people that are applying for the job, and then we look them over and make our selection of who we want. So we will have to have a meeting.
Well, when we ascertained John's services, we got like 20 resumes, and we all sifted through them and came up with our top 5 or whatever it was. And
Right.
that's how we whittled that process down. Did he give you an idea, if any, of how many resumes he's received, or?
The last time I talked to him, he had received 4. But I understand in talking to someone else today that Dave has received a lot more, and there's some good ones in there.
I thought he said that he provided us, or they provided us, based on the resumes and the criteria that was developed by us, as well as the, call them the town hall meetings that were held.
Yeah.
That they were going to at least put them in some type of order, based on their recommendation that they meet the criteria.
They would come to us with their recommendations ranked order.
That's what I understand.
I don't think so.
That's what I thought they
know,
did.
but I didn't think, I thought he implied that if some of them weren't,
If they didn't match, they just threw them to the side.
I don't, yeah.
I think it
No, I don't
was-
think you would,
He mentioned like a tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
That's what I thought was coming over. We should verify that, but that's what I thought was coming. Because if we get 20 resumes, I'd rather.
but I mean, he won't
Should be
discard any
brutal.
of them. You know, that'll be up to
Right.
us.
Yeah, I would expect to see them all, but, they have the criteria.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I ever saw anything back from the meetings that did take place after we met and gave them what we were looking for.
He has all the information that we gave him, plus the 50 people that submitted the forms.
See, that's the
survey.
information I don't know.
Yeah,
I-
well, I was gonna ask.
He has all that information.
Right.
He's apparently putting it all together.
So he did get like some feedback from parents and,
He got 50,
That's the questionnaire, right?
yes.
Right, so there's that set of criteria that we're not privy to right now.
Not yet.
So
I mean,
when they get
he's
the,
been out of state.
Yeah.
So,
will we get access to that?
I don't know.
I think he'll at least summarize it. I don't know if we'll get the actual.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the actual, he will just give us a summary of what people are looking for. I will say this, I was disappointed in the focus group that there was only one resident that came, and she was a former teacher from Avon. The other were all school administrators. There was no teachers, and I would have thought at least one of them would have come, or maybe 2 or more. I was sort of disappointed. But the people that did come asked good questions and they gave good information.
Yeah, I was just gonna
And
say.
he wrote it all
There's
down.
4 people there.
It's good.
So if we expect, you said what date we expect to select for interviews? Next Wednesday?
It says selection of, it closes on Friday.
Right.
And selection of candidates for interview is September 26th through 30th.
So that's next Monday to Friday. So
Right.
next week. So
Next
someday next week, we should be able to get, we should be getting the resumes.
Yes,
And I guess we have to set up a meeting, right?
I would say
We
so.
would, yeah.
Yeah, because then the week after that is the first round of interviews.
If we stay on schedule.
Well, we're not
If
gonna
we
be able to
stay
have a
on
meeting
schedule.
until the following week. We're getting the resumes next week.
Yeah, that's a lot of,
Right.
that's pretty aggressive to try to go through all the
So,
resumes.
I mean, it's not,
Would we have to meet
we have the
next
services of
Thursday?
Mr.
I'm gonna go through the link.
Unless he's
Yeah.
ranked
Not
them,
me.
if he's ranked them like rank 1, 2, and 3, and he's given
Yeah.
us, I think it'll be easier to go
I
through.
mean,
Yeah, I
them.
know, it's acoustics.
The only issue, I think, is the timing of notice for the person we choose. You know, they have to give certain notice to their current employer. I think that's the only, I mean, we're kind of on track here, but that's the only sort of impediment to timing. So, you know, if we go into the middle of October, we're not going to be able to interview, depending on how many people we like. It's going to be tough to interview them in 1 week, I would think.
Right.
So we'll probably be in the middle of October before interviews are completed.
Well, is it 90 days they have to give notice usually on their
Usually.
contracts?
No, it's negotiated.
That's
Okay.
part of the,
So it said on this, though, on the important dates that he sent us, we're supposed to elect a superintendent on the 24th of October. Well, you know, if it goes until Halloween or shortly thereafterwards, I guess we'll be all right.
Well, let's see how many resumes he submits,
Right.
and then we'll take it.
closes this week, so.
Yeah.
Soon.
As soon as I get any more information from him, and he said he would call me when he comes back from his trip, which today is what, Tuesday? Hopefully he calls me by Thursday. If not, I'll reach out to him. As soon as I get anything, I'll send it on to you.
So one other
Sounds good.
thing, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just said sounds good. That's all.
Okay.
Sounds-
So one other thing I wanted to talk about, and it kind of, well, I don't know, I didn't bring it up when we formed the committee, but after thinking about it more, I think we should consider it, is adding a person to the subcommittee, the superintendent search subcommittee, either someone from the teachers union or someone that they choose from the teachers to represent them as part of the subcommittee. Now that we're sort of in, you know, getting into the nitty gritty a little bit. I don't know what people think about that.
I'm good with it.
Seems like it makes sense.
I think we need a motion for that, if anyone wants to make it.
I guess I would have a question, Carl, with that is, didn't you just say, Penny, that no teachers came out to even provide their input to the selection? So why do we think that we need to invite them in now if they didn't want to provide their input previously?
I mean, I can't speak to why they didn't show up at the focus group.
Maybe they felt slighted.
I didn't get to pick my boss, ever.
What's that?
I never get to pick my
Oh,
boss.
pick your boss. Sure you do.
I do know that Dave
Now.
Irwin had said that when I mentioned this to him, he didn't think it was a good idea,
I don't think so
What,
either.
he didn't think what was a good idea?
having a teacher on a subcommittee. But
Who didn't
that's
think that?
Dave Irwin, the
Oh,
guy from the,
The Dave is the
I work for
the
CES.
consultant, right?
yes,
Did he give a reason why?
he just didn't feel it was right to do. He said on any of the other search groups, they don't usually ask the teachers to join in.
I think we should take his advice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they wrote in, right? I mean, again, we don't know. That was done anonymously, but didn't we have two, what do you call them? I call them town halls, you call them what? Focus groups. Didn't we hold two of those? We only did one? Thought we had talked about doing another one because there was such
I
Or
had
turnout.
thought about it, but then
Didn't happen, that's fine.
it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, like how many parents or people that come to the public meeting here, right? I mean, we don't get a lot of participation.
Right.
You know, we put it out there, it was out there quite a bit on all the chatter pages and stuff like
Yep.
that. So we've done our due diligence, we followed the process.
Any
I say we
thoughts?
not do anything. But it's up to the rest of you.
It's up to you.
I'm only one of 9.
I think we followed the advice of the consultant who are paying a ton of money to do this. He obviously has skill and knows what he's doing. If he's advising not to do it, I don't think we should. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Tom, what do you think?
I already made my flippant comment.
If you did, I didn't hear you.
I said I never have to pick my boss, so
That's
I'm
right.
fine with keeping
Well,
it
they
just
won't-
like it was.
They
It
won't get
is.
to pick, but they have an ear and it would be transparent. I mean, no, I'm still fine with it.
I mean, we do have a former superintendent, which is very helpful. I don't know, I just thought it was I'm kind of curious why Dave thinks that way, and I get the point, you don't pick your boss, but,
Is John involved? Oh, I don't know.
he's
No,
not
but
on the,
he
he
did
invited him.
offer his help if we should need it.
Well, we had talked about that at one of the meetings, was to invite him in if he was.
Right.
Right.
If he would accept doing so, right? I mean, again, John at this point is learning our system, learning our district.
Right.
Right.
Would likely have some good input.
Right.
Right, in the final stages of the process. Unless John doesn't think so.
Are you still offering to give your advice if we
Sure,
should ask for it?
Sure. Whatever you need.
Keep it as is? All right. Okay. That's all I had, unless,
Carl, can we talk about that thing that you and I spoke about? In the email forward about, or is that appropriate?
about what?
About conversation to the parents? Is that for now?
Oh, we can just.
Do it offline?
Yeah.
Okay.
So make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it at 8:03.
All in favor? Thank you very much.